Just as the war has reached the end of another phase, so too have the provincial council elections. The United People's Freedom Alliance have swept the polls yet again in the Western Province too. But this does not come as a complete surprise for the people of Colombo, Gampaha and Kalutura districts, or even the rest of the country. Many among the population do feel that the government must be able to take the war to a conclusion and are anxious to give them a chance to do so. Nevertheless, there are voters that feel that this election, like other provincial council elections, should have been more about local issues or even district issues. In our next report, we met the people of Colombo on election day as they exercised their vote.
The polling centre at the Niyandagala Vidyakirti Kanishta Vidyalaya in Homagama is itself a reminder to the people of local infrastructure that needs improvement. At least some of the voters coming here on election day were conscious of this and the role that provincial councils must play.
මේක මුල් කාලේ ඊටාම ළමයි විශාල ප්‍රමාණයක් හිටපු ප්‍රදේශීය ජනප්‍රිය පාසලක්. නමුත් දැන් ක්‍රමානුකූලව ළමයි අඩු වෙලා ගිහිල්ලා සම්පත් හීන වෙලා ගිහිල්ලා මුළු පාසල ගොඩනැගිල්ලම පැස්ස වෙලාවට කිසි ළමයෙකුට ඉන්න බෑ මුළු ගොඩනැගිල්ලම තෙමෙනවා. විදුහල්පතිගේ කාර්යාලය පවා දෝර ගලා යනවා වැහි වතුරේ. මේ අවුරුදු 15ක වගේ මෑත කාලයක අපි දන්න ඉතිහාසය ඇතුලේ අලුතෙන් මේ පාසලට කිසිම ගොඩනැගිල්ලක් මේ පළාත් සභාවෙන් ලැබිලා නැහැ.
Residents of Homagama are critical about the inaction of the Western Provincial Council in the past. New candidates will therefore have to work harder to prove that they will make a difference. And being the politicians they are, they make the promise with confidence.
අමීට අවුරුදු 3 මාර්ගය ඉස්සලා අපේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට එදා බුලත් පොලේට ගහපු කතරේ විශ්වාසය අද එතුමාගේ රජය රැකලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ජනතාව දැඩි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. මේ මැතිවරණයේ ජනතාව අද අවස්ථාවක් කරගෙන තියෙනවා මේ වැඩපිළිවෙලත් එක්ක තියෙන වැඩපිළිවෙල ජයග්‍රහණය කරවන්න.
ආණ්ඩුවත් කලින් පළාත් සභාවේ කාර්යභාරය පිළිබඳ ප්‍රසාදයක් නැති බව මහාඇමතිවර හිටපු මහාඇමතිවරයා මහාඇමති අපේක්ෂා ලෙස නම් නොකිරීමෙන් ආණ්ඩුවත් පිළි අරගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා ආණ්ඩුවත් මේ වෙනස කරන්න ලෑස්ති.
Opposition politicians, on the other hand, were quick to point out shortcomings in the local infrastructure and facilities.
එක සොල්දාදුවෙක් බදව ගන්න මේ පළාත් සභාවට බලයක් ඇත්තේ නැහැ. එක යුද ආයුධයක් ගෙන්නන්න බලයක් මේ පළාත් සභාවට ඇත්තේ නැහැ. එක ආයුධ වෙනුවෙන් මුදලක් පරිත්‍යාග කරන්න මධ්‍යම ආණ්ඩුවට බලයක් පළාත් සභාවට ඇත්තේ නැහැ. මේ පළාත් සභාව තුල ජනයාගේ යටිතල පාසුකම් දියුණු කරන්නයි අවශ්‍ය වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
ඒ වගේම රෝහල් දෙකයි මේ ආසනේ තියෙන්නේ. දෙකම පළාත් සභාවට අයිති රෝහල් දෙක. රෝහල් දෙකේ විශාල අඩුපාඩුකම් ගණනාවක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි අපි දැකලා නැහැ කිසිම අපේක්ෂකයෙක් ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයෙන් ඉදිරිපත් වෙච්ච මේ කටයුත්තට සම්පූර්ණ මැදිහත් වෙලා කිසියම් ප්‍රතිපාදනයක් වෙන් කරයි කියලා.
But in the end, and as the election results demonstrated, people were influenced to a great extent by the war and what they hope is its final stage.
ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම මේ පුළුවන් මේ ආර්ථික තත්ත්වය අපිට අමාරු තමයි. නමුත් මේ අපි බඩට වඩා බලන්න ඕනේ රට ගැන. අනාගත පරපුර ගැන බලන්න ඕනේ. ඒ නිසා අපි මේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට රට වෙනුවෙන් අපි මේ ඡන්දේ පාවිච්චි කරනවා. අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන එකම දේ දිනුවට වැඩිය යුද්ධ ඉවර වෙන එකයි. ඉතින් යුද්ධ ඉවර වෙන ලොකු දෙයක්. දැන් ඡන්දේ දැම්මා. ඡන්දේ දැම්මට මම නම් දැම්මේ පක්ෂයට විතරයි. ගහන්නේ නැහැ කිසිම කෙනෙකුට මනාපයක්. මොකද හේතුව කරන්නේ වෙන කෙනෙක් නේ දෙයක්.
In other parts of the Colombo district, particularly where Tamils and Muslims live, people thought a little differently. At Kotahena Street in central Colombo, Mary Selvi and some of her relatives have decided to vote for an independent group who has promised to reduce economic hardships that street vendors like herself are faced with.
மிச்சமே கஷ்டப்பட்டவங்க தான் இந்த பக்கம் மிச்ச பேர் இருக்காங்க. அன்னாடு சம்பளக்காரங்க. அதாவது ரோட்டில் தொழில் செஞ்சு வருமானம் தேடி கொள்றவங்க தான் இருக்காங்க. பெரிய பேங்க்குகளில் உத்தியோகம் செய்கிறவங்க எல்லாம் இந்த பக்கம் மிச்சம் இல்லை. அன்னாடு அவங்க ரோட்டில் நாங்களும் பேமெண்ட்டில் மீன் தட்டு வச்சு தான் நாங்களும் வியாபாரம் செய்கிறோம். அதுமாதிரி எல்லாம் பேமெண்ட்காரவங்க தான் இருக்காங்க. அப்போ அவங்களுக்கு வயிற்றில் அடிதான்.
Kotahena's Tamil population, especially those in the lower income groups, were more concerned about their immediate needs and well-being. Their support was for independent candidates who promised them some form of relief in their day-to-day lives.
காலையிலேருந்து ஹயர் இல்லாமல் பொழப்பு இல்லாமல் நாரி சுற்றி 250 ரூபா தேடி இருக்கிறேன் 3 ஹவரா. இதில் 200 ரூபா பெட்ரோலுக்கு போயிடுச்சு. அவங்கள்ட்டேருந்து வந்து நிம்மதியான எதிர்பார்ப்பு, நிம்மதியான வாழ்க்கை, நிம்மதியாக இன்றைக்கி பொழுது மனுஷன் எதிர்பார்க்கக்கூடிய நிம்மதி வேணும். இன்னொன்று பயம் இல்லாமல் வெளியே வரணும். நான் தமிழ் ஆட்கள் வாக்களிக்கிறதுன்னு எதிர்பார்க்கல. நான் எதிர்பார்க்குறது வந்து நல்லா படித்தவங்க, சண்டியன், ஐஆர்சி, பார்த்தால அதெல்லாம் வேணாம். நமக்கு தேவை படித்தவன். எந்த கட்சி என்ன கலராக இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்ல.
As Tamils among the population, there was a certain level of consciousness about the lack of representation of their concerns in the main political party.
அவங்க சாதாரண நல்லெண்ணங்களை கொண்டு தான் செய்யணும். ஏன்னா தமிழ் மக்களுக்கு நீ இப்போ எந்த கட்சி வந்தாலும் தமிழ் மக்களுக்கு ஒரு இடமும் இல்லை. அதனால் எங்களுக்கு நாங்கள் யாருக்கு போட்டாலும் எங்களுக்கு தமிழ் மக்களுக்கு யாரும் உதவி செய்கிறதுக்கு யாரும் இல்லை.
It is this underrepresentation that Mano Ganeshan, the leader of the Democratic People's Front, seeks to address. His party put forward several candidates in this election.
As far as Colombo is concerned, our party, Democratic People's Front, is fighting for the democratic representation of the Tamil people in Colombo. That is what is in stake here. We need to be represented in Colombo to the maximum. There are over 400,000 Tamils living in Colombo, but there are only 140,000 Tamils are registered as voters. That is very low. The national level is about 60% should be registered as voters. The more people who are eligible to be registered as voters are not registered. That is another problem. But among the people who have been already registered as voters, we should get them to come out and vote, exercise their franchise.
Prakash Ganeshan is the candidate fielded by the Democratic People's Front, and he has promised that he is committed to addressing the specific needs of his community.
மாகாண சபையிலே நாங்கள் தேசிய இனப்பிரச்சனைக்கான தீர்வை காண முடியாது. மாகாண சபை என்று சொல்லும் பொழுது 100% கல்வி சம்பந்தமான விடயங்களில் தான் அதிகமாக அக்கறை செலுத்த முடியும். ஆகவே இந்த பகுதியில் இருக்கும் வறிய குடும்பத்தை சேர்ந்த பிள்ளைகள் அவர்களுக்கு சரியான விதத்திலே பாடசாலைகள் அபிவிருத்தி செய்யப்பட வேண்டும், கட்டிடங்கள் கட்டி கொடுக்கப்பட வேண்டும், தளபாட பற்றாக்குறைகளை நிவர்த்தி செய்ய வேண்டும், ஆசிரியர் பற்றாக்குறைகளை நிவர்த்தி செய்ய வேண்டும். ஆகவே இப்படியான முழுமையான ஒரு கல்வி அபிவிருத்தி நோக்கித்தான் நாங்கள் சென்று கொண்டிருக்கிறோம் மாகாண சபை மூலமாக.
Helping the local community at a macro level was also the focus of a newly formed group, the independent Group 3, which fielded 49 candidates from the Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim communities.
இன்னைக்கு பிஸ்னஸ் சம்பந்தமாக நிறைய ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது, எஜுகேஷன் நிறைய ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது, என்வாயன்மெண்ட் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது. இது மாதிரி நிறைய பிரச்சனைகள் இருக்கிறதுனால வந்து நாங்கள் ஒரு நல்ல டீம் உண்டு, இது நல்ல எஜுகேட்டட் சம்பந்தமான ஒரு டீம் உண்டு. இந்த டீமில் வந்து எங்களோட பிரின்சிபலில் வந்து நாங்கள் வந்து எங்களுக்கு மோஸ்ட்லி வந்து பப்ளிக்கில் வந்து ஒரு நல்ல ஒரு ஃபேவர் சான்ஸ் ஒன்று எங்களுக்கு இருக்குது. ஏன்னா இன்றைக்கி நிறைய பெரிய பார்ட்டிஸ் எல்லாத்தையும் கொஞ்சம் மக்கள் மத்தியில் கொஞ்சம் சின்ன ஒரு ஃபெடப் ஒன்று இருக்கிறதுனால எங்களுக்கு இந்த சான்சஸ் நிறைய இருக்கிறதுனால.
Despite his confidence, the independent Group 3 managed to secure just a few hundred votes and did not make it to the Western Provincial Council. This was more or less a lesson for all those who could not play the game at the same level as the bigger parties, who had access to more resources. As a result, the voices of many minority communities and smaller groups have not been reflected in the final outcome. Instead, the prevailing culture of success for the well-established main parties continues to prevail, strengthened even by another victorious pool.
5 provincial council elections have taken place over the past months, and there are 3 more provinces that are yet to go to the polls: the south, the Uva and the north, and these may well take place during the rest of the year. So we're not over yet with election fever in the country, but hope that in the end it will contribute towards some form of empowerment for the people of Sri Lanka. Like to make any comments about the program? Then please write to us at srilankatoday@yartv.net. Thank you for watching. Until next week, you take care.